So, Again But Better follows 20-year-old Shane, who is a pre-med student at her university in New York. She is not enjoying the program and she decides she wants to do something else. So, with some little white lies and help from her parents, she is able to take the opportunity to travel abroad to London, England, and study writing classes at a school and intern at a travel magazine. Meets three friends, Atticus, Sarah, and Babe, and together the four of them embark on many different travels through Europe, and we found out some really cool stuff about these friends. I really enjoy her friendships with these people because they all went to the same abroad trip, so they're all there for different reasons, but they're also there to explore and to make friends and to be spontaneous and have really great adventures. She is doing really, really well at the magazine internship, and she's doing really well in school. So she's able to keep up this charade with her parents when they do Skype sessions. She's able to convince her parents the pre-med program that she is shadowing is working out well, and she thinks that it's all going to be going well until one day her parents decide they want to surprise her by visiting her. And as soon as she sees her parents, she just crumbles up in a ball of anxiety, which I could totally understand. So unfortunately, because of her parents' quick arrival, she doesn't have time to tell her friends that she lied to her parents and they need to help her cover up. So thankfully, Pilot understands and he helps her. But then when they get to Sarah, she doesn't really understand why they're talking about pre-med when Sarah is pre-law. So that gives away immediately the plot that Shane has lied to her parents, and they are not happy. They are very furious. Like I said earlier, they did help to pay for her traveling. Most of her money, though, she has used from working her butt off during the summer and saving it. So they're very disappointed in her. They make a very big scene, which I just feel so bad for Shane, and I feel bad for her friends. She begs them to at least let her finish the semester out, which they do, but her dad says immediately after she comes back, she must continue where she left off on her pre-med studies, and she has a lot of catching up to do. So in terms of her friendships and relationships with the other students, her and Pilot strike up a friendship from the very beginning, and it is a really sweet friendship, and a friendship that is kind of misconstrued as the beginning of a relationship. We don't know that Pilot has a girlfriend until he actually brings her to London, or until she visits him in London. And unbeknownst to Shane, this is heartbreaking, and she's very confused about Pilot's feelings towards her. And so we get to the end of the semester, and Shane has finished her internship. So before she goes on the plane, she has this change of heart and decides, I'm not going to leave it this way. I am going to take this opportunity and tell this guy how I feel. So she goes back to the hostel that they're staying at, and she can't find him. So she assumes that he leaves. So she leaves London brokenhearted. And so the author did something really cool here. She actually put us 6 years ahead to 2017, where we see that Shane is almost a doctor. She is on track to graduate soon, and she is also interviewing for internships in New York. So it's really exciting. We see that she is almost a doctor. She is fulfilling her parents' dream of pre-med, and she is engaged to a man named Melvin. We get the sense that she's not happy. Of course, after reading about young Shane's Europe adventure, we definitely get the feeling that she's not happy still. She has a lot of unanswered questions, especially from Pilot. So she decides to, again, take that chance, and it turns out Pilot is working in New York. So she goes to see him at his work, and she says, I need to talk to you. I want to talk to you. So they go to a cafe. It's a secret cafe. And Shane notices that the woman, the waitress, she's seen her before. So really quickly, I'm going to pause the review and tell you guys that in the beginning of the book, we see this one woman several times. She's not old. She's a woman with red hair, and I think she appears four times. She's a flight attendant on the flight that Shane has on her flight to London. She is, I believe, a Starbucks barista in London. And I think she's also, I can't remember the third thing that she's in, but we stumble upon her again in the future, a barista at the place where Shane and Pilot are meeting. So Shane is just like, I've seen you before. Why are you always here? And it turns out that we find out that this woman is almost like, not a guardian angel, but she's almost like a spiritual guide. Shane believes that this woman is her spiritual guide. So the spiritual guide is telling Pilot and Shane that, you know, if you could have a chance to have a do-over, would you do it? And I can't remember exactly what happens, but Shane is spilling her heart out to Pilot, and he's just sitting there like, you know, he's saying, you know, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? He is still with Amy. They're not engaged. They have been together for 7-8 years. So he understands where Shane's feelings are coming from, because we find out that he still feels the same way about her. It's just he hasn't done anything with Amy yet. So it's he's very much on like a trampoline. He wants to get here, but then he keeps coming down to what he's doing now. So there's that. So they're about to leave, and the elevator that they get onto actually becomes stuck. And something happens, and the elevator breaks. The elevator wires break, and they start falling to the ground. And the elevator falls to the ground, and Shane passes out. When she wakes up, she realizes that she is back in London. And not 2017 London, 2011 London. Her and Pilot have time traveled back to 2011 London. Well, they find out that they did time travel back to the past, and Shane realizes that this is a second chance. If you could have a second chance, you should do it and take advantage of it. And so the spirit guide, the woman, hid something, I believe, in Rome, and it's a button that, when pressed, can time travel them back to 2017, and they would have no memory of this time travel that they just did. They are sent back to 2011 to either decide they want a second chance or to find the button and just make it all go away. So they basically have to relive those weeks. While they are retracing their steps in Rome and in Paris, they find out that, you know, they have all this time to ask questions about each other and find out more about each other that they didn't really have a chance to ask when they were younger. So during this trip, there's a lot that's said between them. But during the course of the book, they realize that they do love each other, they want to be together, and so Pilot decides to break up with Amy. Shane actually writes a pre-breakup letter to her fiance back in 2017. So they think it's all great. They go on a first date in Paris, and then they have a second date and a third date, and the romance between them is just very great, and it's very honest. And again, because they were friends first, it's very genuine, and the love is amazing, and it's a great romance. I really enjoyed it. It turns out actually that Pilot never broke up with Amy. So Amy surprises Pilot, and it turns out that Pilot actually broke up with Amy through the phone. But because she didn't answer, he left her a breakup voice message. So she tells Pilot that she just needs time, and so she kicks ass in her internship and she kicks ass in her schooling, and she finds that in that inner peace in herself, like, I don't need anyone to do this, I can do this myself. So when she decides to break up with Pilot, she tells him, I need to do this for me, I need to do this so that when I go back to 2017, I am doing this for me, and I break up with Melvin, and I want to choose me. And Pilot is so sad that she's saying this. And so she says, you need to go back to Amy and just forget about me. And so she is in tears and she's so sad. And so she decides that when she gets back to 2017, she is going to do things for herself. She's going to quit pre-med. She's going to quit being a doctor, and she's going to resume the path of being a writer. She is doing really well in her internship, and she's climbing the ladder, and she's doing so well. And so she's in Edinburgh somewhere, and there's a note from the spiritual guide that says, if you're ready, you're ready. And so she climbs up a hill in Edinburgh, and she just sits and she watches the scenery, and she's really sad because she wants to be with Pilot, and she loves him, but he's not there, and she feels very empty because she knows that if she does leave, then none of what happened, and she's still pre-med, and she's still almost a doctor, and she's still engaged to Melvin. And so she's thinking, and while she's thinking, she hears music coming from behind her, and it's Pilot, and he's singing Taylor Swift. And Shane is a sucker for Taylor Swift, so they're just apologizing to each other, and they confess their feelings, and Pilot broke up with Amy, and they realize they love each other. And so she wants to press the button, but together they decide to stay in 2011 and make this life that they have together and just move forward. In the epilogue, we find out that Pilot is I think a music producer of some sort. I can't remember. And Shane is an author of a series or a duology. She's an author of a duology, and it's so great because both of them have gotten to where they want to be, and they're both happy. And in the end, Pilot proposes to her using a Beatles doll, and she loves the Beatles. And this interview was all over the place, you guys, because like I said, I read it like 2 days ago, and I mean, these notes that I wrote down to remind myself what to say, I mean, you can't, you expect to write things down to remember, but by the time filming comes along, it's just like brain fart after brain fart after word vomit after word vomit. And I love this book so much. So basically, long story short, Shane goes to England, she travels, she meets new friends, she gets to do what she wants to do, and then we see her in the future, and she time travels to get a second chance at her life, and she decides to do what makes her happy, and she's happy doing it. And I really, really loved the time traveling element in this book. I did not expect that she was going to go this way. I really thought that as soon as the book hit 2017, as soon as the book hit Part 2, 2017. I'm almost halfway through the book, so I was really expecting the rest of this just to be about 2017 Shane and 2017 Pilot and 2017 Babe and Sarah and Atticus. But it just takes a whole nother level, and it's so good. I mean, the time traveling element is such a great surprise. I mean, it didn't ruin the book for me. It didn't add anything unnecessary. I mean, it was a really, really great read. And I mean, when I finished it, I really thought about it, and I thought about how I love that this book really concreted that. I mean, do things that make you happy. Don't waste time doing things that you think other people are gonna want from you. I really enjoyed this book, and I really think the message in it is the strongest message I have ever read, and I really appreciate a book for doing that. So I give this book 5 out of 5 stars. I highly recommend you read it. It is a really great, refreshing book about second chances that I feel like everyone deserves. So if you want to feel good inside, and you want to have some really nice romance, and you want to have some great friendships, and again, you want to read about second chances, I highly recommend Again But Better. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this book review. I again apologize for my ranting, but you know, when you have a lot of feelings about a book, it's really hard to just dot point it all. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this book review, and I hope you have a great day.